All right, we are recording. It's Joe making art every day during pandemic, finding it helpful, hope it's helpful for you. Today I want to start a project called Who Stays Home? This project was inspired by a piece of writing by Vicious Vixen. It's a really kind of powerful and unfiltered piece of writing she did. She said just really quick on her lunch break at work, she's not getting to work from home these days, and understandably it's making her really uneasy. And she wrote this thing right when she found out that there had been confirmed cases of COVID-19 in her workplace, and she was really understandably very disturbed by that, and feeling scared and angry about not getting to stay home. She said, if we could afford to be home with our own children safe from the dangers that loom, we would be. It really struck me because, you know, there's so much advice going around right now about, you know, stay at home. And I've said it. I've said it on these videos, like, stay home. But it's really a luxury to get to stay home. It's a luxury that I'm currently benefiting from. And this piece of writing really impacted me and stuck with me. I read it a few days ago. It doesn't feel fair to me that some people like me get to stay home and seek safety from this pandemic, but not everybody does get to do that, and it comes down to economic realities. I'm able to work from home, and right now she isn't, so she's more at risk to catch this disease than I am. That doesn't feel right. I wrote her about it. Wrote a comment on her writing and said, you know, first of all, just how impacted I was by what she'd written. And I asked her, you know, I said, I wonder how we could make something to express what you're articulating here. And I said, like, I wonder if this is me even being insensitive and sort of living even more in a bubble to say, like, well, let's make art. But her response was really positive and thoughtful. And she said, I don't think making art out of it is insensitive. And she brought up, she said, one of the projects I like contributing to the most was the Hot Button. She's talking about this series that we did a few years ago called the Hot Button, where we were doing something every week. We were taking 7 days and just making sort of little documentary art pieces about something in the news that was relevant at the moment. And I thought it'd be cool to start a project sort of inspired by the Hot Button. She brought up the Hot Button to make a short documentary piece about who stays home, and hear from people, both people who are staying home and people who don't get to stay home, and combining those two perspectives and sort of trying to make sense of the discrepancy. I thought it could be really interesting. So I've started a project, and there's a bunch of different steps. You can talk into the camera about this, tell us if you're staying home, or tell us if you don't get to stay home. Maybe you have to work, or maybe you have other reasons why you're not getting to stay home. I just want to hear all about it. Read what she wrote. It's in the resources there, and even actually in particular, read our conversation in the comments thread, because I wrote a comment and then she wrote back to me twice. Really thoughtful, everything she wrote about. I think it'll inspire you to get on camera and talk about your experience. If you don't feel comfortable talking on camera, just talking to the microphone, do the voice acting step. There's also filming, photos. Take video or photos of your life at home, or if you're going out and into the world, take video or photos of that. Show us what you're doing, where you're going, what you're up to. I think we could combine people talking and this kind of footage. We can make a really cool documentary piece. But I'd also like to maybe even get a little artful with it. So I put a step in there. If you want to write about it, you could write your personal experience. If you want to draw about it, draw something that this question inspires in you. And I even made a weird song about it. Like I said, I couldn't get this question out of my head, and oftentimes when something's kind of rolling around in my head like that, I end up wanting to make some kind of art about it. So I ended up making a song. This is a kind of a weird, dark, I don't know, weird song. It's only like a minute long. We are the quarantine. We stay home. The world outside's frightening right now. I got a job that I can't afford to quit, so I can't stay home. And I'm probably getting sick, and I know you're being well, and I know you're being nice, but I know that you're advice, so I know that you're advice. It's, but I don't know. Tell me what you think of it. If it's inspired, if it's not, I'm actually curious if you guys are just like, okay, good, Joe, that's great that you expressed yourself. Like that's totally fine. But and I can't tell how you're gonna react to it because again, it's sort of a weird song. But if you're inspired by it, and we could make more out of it, like it could be like because the song is sort of divided into one voice of the people who are the quarantined elite. Her words, and quarantined elite. And the other side of the song is sort of from the voice of outsiders who are having to go outside and go to work. And the quarantined being like, everyone stay home. And the outsiders being like, I can't stay home. And the tension that arises from that. So it could be interesting to see different people lip syncing to this. If like doing the quarantined voice of people in their homes and doing the kind of outsider's voice of, you know, people who are going outside and having to work. So these are all different things we could put together. In the spirit of the hot button, let's try to do this all quickly. Let's say 7 days, because that's what we did the hot button in. Let's not be too precious about it, but let's just like put something together. It's about right now, and let's all dive into this. It's something I think that's maybe not getting quite enough attention, which is how this pandemic is not impacting everyone equally, and how economic inequality in our, not just this country, my country, but really all over the world, leads to different outcomes for different people in ways that don't feel fair to me. It doesn't feel right that how much money you have should dictate your ability to stay safe from something like this. And let's talk about it. Let's make a documentary about it. That's it for today. See you tomorrow. Thanks again. We've got to share it.